Hello, and welcome to Nostalgia Marcana. I'm your host, Doug Leaf. Each episode of this podcast, we'll look back on the movies, TV, games, people, and phenomena that we still love talking about all these years later, and ask ourselves why these bits of pop culture still enchant us today. This week, we'll be revisiting...
I'm going for mine every time you see me. Laugh and treat me bad, but you can't defeat me. I believe in myself, that's why you can't fade this. Wittiful, logical, totally awesome arrangement. Prepare for any situation. Be it good, bad, or even petty avocation. Hanging out of school trying to gain a reputation. All it's gonna get you is a long vacation. Power. Power of the kids. Power. Kid power. Power. Power of the kids. Power. Kid power. What is really going on? What makes you think you just don't disrespect me, your friends, your family, and all the people around you? Ain't nothing gonna happen. I don't even think so.
Hey, believe in yourself.
See, nobody move, nobody get hurt. Man, you ain't gonna do that. You watch me work as I persist to this.
There's just something about ninjas and the late 80s and the early 90s. I don't know why, but when I was a kid, ninjas were infinitely cool and remain so. And today we're doing a topic that is just like ninja mania first and foremost. So we're talking about three ninjas today. Which three? Specifically, the three ninjas from the titular movie. So I'm really excited to be talking about this. And I have an additional ninja here with me as well. He's been on our podcast before to talk about the Uncharted franchise and Muppets Treasure Island. So please welcome back to the show, Josh Covel.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be back. Now, which one of us is which ninja? Am I Rocky, Colt, or Tum-Tum?
I think I probably have to take Tum-Tum, so I'll make you Rocky. You can be the leader today.
You immediately recognize his coolness. Like, everyone wanted to be Rocky, no matter what. Everyone thought Rocky was the coolest.
I mean, Rocky leads. Colt is cool but rude, and Tum-Tum is a party dude. We just don't have anyone who does machines.
Let's see. In the fourth Three Ninjas, there's a girl named, I think her name's Jo. It's been a minute since I've seen that movie. She does a lot of technology stuff, so she does machines in that instance.
Okay, so then we have that is required for all ninjas come in groups of four traditionally.
There
and
you
those
go.
are the four.
It took four movies to get to it, but you got. And actually, in Three Ninjas Kick Back, they meet a girl named Mio because they travel to Japan. Kick Back's actually not an awful film. Like it's surprising that they didn't go more silly. Because normally sequels to movies just get more and more silly. The second one's actually a little bit like darker. It's kind of wild.
Well, I've only seen the one. I don't have any nostalgic memories of this. This one was where I was just a little too old when this came out, and like it's amazing how slim those margins are because I was all in on TMNT just a few years before this, and by this point I was 12, and I was like, well, I don't know, this looks like it's for kids, and I passed on it. But tell me about your nostalgic memories of Three Ninjas. Why are we here talking about this today?
Oh, man. So I first discovered this movie back when I was a kid. My family, my parents are and still were and are still religious. I'm losing the thread already. But we would go over to church friend's house, and there was this one kid named Mike that I always looked up to. And I brought him up on like other podcasts. I don't know if I've brought it up here, but he was a hugely influential portion of my early childhood. I always thought he was like the coolest kid. Like there's that one kid that you look up to that you idolize. He was like that kid for me. And unfortunately, he passed away when I was in 6th grade. He was in 8th. He died from bacterial meningitis. It was very sudden. That was a very surreal. That was like the first time. Not to make it too dark, I promise we're going to get on with the yucks in just a moment, but that was the first time death had really hit home for me. It was in 6th grade because he passed away. he introduced me to this movie. He would babysit us, which honestly doesn't make a whole lot of sense now that I think about it, because he was like only 2 years older than me. And if I was in like 4th grade, that means he was in like 6th. But I don't know. He was a really good kid. And I don't think he showed it to us when we were being babysat by him, but he showed it to us beforehand. He showed us this movie. And I remember being like obsessed with it, and then renting it from Blockbuster so many times. And I watched this movie so much as a kid, and going back as an adult and watching it, like I've seen this a whole bunch of times since becoming an adult. I love this movie. Unironically, I love this movie. It's not a good movie. It is like, this is nothing but nostalgia making me watch this over and over and over again. And I apologize to you and yours this holiday season for making you watch this as well.
I was going to watch it with my kids, and then the timing worked out that I ended up just watching it by myself. And which was kind of a good thing, because now that I've seen it, and I was kind of like, I don't think this is, just knowing my kids and their personalities, it's not something they'd be into. So it's funny. I told my daughter, I was like, "Oh, I'm doing a podcast on that movie. Remember I told you about it?" Yeah. I said, I don't think you would have liked it. My daughter's much more girly. My son, maybe, but I've tried to get him into TMNT, which I think is the stronger franchise and property. And he hasn't really glommed onto that. So I think if you weren't going to be like swept away by Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, this was not going to do it for you.
The only argument I could make as to why it might, not saying that you should show him this, because I have lots of opinions now as a parent, like this is very violent for a kid but what attracted it to me as a kid was the fact that it was just a bunch of children my age beating the ever-loving shit out of adults. And that, I wonder if there was like some weird like wish fulfillment, though I've never tried to fight someone at all, let alone an adult. So
it's like, we'll get to this part of the movie, but there's this whole like Home Alone sequence in the middle of it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, what if Home Alone, but instead of booby traps, there's some booby traps, but also just punches and kicks to the face.
A strangulation. There's a moment where the one dude, he is tied, he gets a bunch of, Rocky gets a bunch of his dad's neckties. He fashions them together in kind of a makeshift rope, and then he ties it around the dude's neck and then pulls him to the edge of the stairs, which they live in a pretty decent house, and there's like a balcony where it's at, and he just fucking jumps off the balcony while that thing, like holding onto the rope and rappelling down while that thing's tied to that dude's neck, and then he climbs back up the rope, back up the tie while it's like strangling the man. I remember as a kid, I'm like, oh, that's funny. As an adult, I'm like, that's mortifying. Oh my God.
Oh, both these guys, and especially the guys from Home Alone, would be dead.
Absolutely. You
would not survive the treatment they receive. You have to apply cartoon logic to it. But the violence didn't bother me so much. My son's actually doing Taekwondo.
Okay.
But he's 5, so no kicking and punching humans. It's punching bags and things like that. Nobody's getting hurt. So he does like martial arts. He loves flying through the air and kicking things within an appropriate context, where it's safe.
And with all that criticism I levied at it, I do think this is more Looney Tunes violence than like, oh my God, how could they do this? It's very comical. It's very over the top. Lots of nut kicks and punches and like hitting people in the head with pots, and it's all like comical sound effects, and like they literally have like boing sound effects in some moments. So it does lessen like the impact of what the violence could have been if they kept it serious or anything like that. But I love this movie, man. I have so many fond memories of it, despite going back to it as an adult and finding some things where I'm like, well, I don't know if I would want a kid to watch this.
Yeah, they do the thing. The TMNT has this as well, where some of the weapons are blunt force, and you can kind of get away with boing as a response. Mm-hmm. But some of the weapons are like katana blades, and it's
Yeah.
like, that's just a big old sword. Like, what can you do with this sword other than like slit someone's jugular? And it's usually like, well, you cut their clothes to ribbons, and then they're in their underwear or something.
Yep.
Like, we want to have the joy of using the cool ninja weapon without the sprays of arterial blood
Exactly.
that would normally go with it.
There's also like in this franchise, like in general, the franchise is super corny and comedic. Like even in some of the darker ones, like I mentioned, what's wild is in the fourth movie, Lonnie Anderson was the main villain. Like from I think WKRP Cincinnati, Lonnie Anderson is the villain, and Hulk Hogan is in the movie as well as like this like border like he is the star of a kids superhero TV show who is retiring, and of course his like farewell show is at Mega Mountain, which is this fictional theme park, and that's when all the villains come to take over the theme park, and that's when the three ninjas are there. Different actors, but still Rocky, Colt, and Tum-Tum. They look nothing like the actors in this movie, though, for sure. But no, what was I gonna say? This what I love about at least this first one is just like I was actually impressed by the creativity of the choreography with it. Like it's nothing like groundbreaking. This is not Jackie Chan, but you could tell the people who were designing this were just having a lot of fun with like what could we do here with the kids to like have them do goofy things to these adult ninjas, which frankly look ridiculous in their outfits.
I mean, credit to these three kids, by the way, because the martial arts that they are being asked to do, for their ages and stuff, I actually thought that looked pretty good. All these like roundhouse kicks and stuff they're doing.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what more I could expect out of an actor, who's 9 years old doing this. Like they kind of sell that. I mean, you have to believe that they can kick an adult with enough force to knock them unconscious and stuff. But as far as like the actual, like, I guess their form, they look like they're doing these kicks and punches well. Like they you have to believe on some level that they're good at this, and they sell that, I think.
Absolutely. The kid actors are really not that bad. I think the characters are a little obnoxious, but the kids themselves are like pretty serviceable. Though I do enjoy so I have the movie on in the background, and one of my favorite things is just seeing how they handle the stunts with all the different actors. A lot of times the kids are just the kids, but whenever there's like a ton of flips, the kids are always perfect, like just happen to be in a ninja costume, and they're suddenly like a little bit taller than what you might remember them as. Also, Grandpa is I didn't notice it at all as a kid, but watching as an adult, it's very clearly like a man with like a fat suit on, and he's got like a bald cap, like a special cap for his hair. Because there's moments I'm like, that doesn't look like Grandpa in the slightest.
No, this man is like 65 years old. Like, there's no way he's doing backflips. He might be an experienced ninja, but the human spine just does what it does over time, no matter what. Yeah, I think it's interesting watching it with the sound off. Like, I thought, honestly, the biggest villain of the piece was Richard Marvin, the composer, because I found the music was really distracting in a lot of ways. It's kind of like this, like, almost circus music. It's kind of like, doo, 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 like through, like, every scene.
Until there's like serious moments, and then it's like 80s synthwave that I actually really, really like. All the comedy stuff I can't stand, but when it gets to like there's a moment towards the end of the movie where what is it? They're in the freighter or whatever it is, Snyder's ship, and they've just completed like a comedic moment, blowing smoke in some dude's face and shredding his like clothes to ribbons, like you were saying before. And then it gets into a really heavy music, but only for like 30 seconds. And then it goes back to being serious again. Like, he completely undercuts the severity of the situation with this, like you said, kind of clown music.
Yeah, that was the one thing. Like, if you had swapped this score out for something that was either just more minimalistic, or even like maybe even just with more of a, I don't know, a Japanese kind of sound to it, you would raise the movie a letter grade, if not 2. But so why don't we just get into the movie proper, because all this stuff will come out as we discuss it, but there's a lot of fun stuff in there, and both kind of in terms of like, this is like legitimately fun and then also fun. And they're like, this movie's kind of, weird and silly, but also still fun. Like, I had a good time. Well, I don't want to give the impression like, just because this wasn't my cup of tea and I have no like nostalgic Vaseline over the lens of history to make me enjoy it more, I still had a great time. Like, this is going to be some goofy fun. So we have this opening where like we get a lot of narration from bickering narration from the three kids talking about this was the summer where everything happened.
Me and my brothers. My brothers and I.
I want to do it.
No, I'm supposed to.
Get out of here.
Would you guys shut up? Just go. Last summer looked like another great summer with our grandfather. Me and my brothers.
My brothers and I.
Whatever. We spent most of our time training to be ninja masters at our grandpa's cabin.
Yeah, most kids are at some stupid camp. My two younger brothers and I studied with our Japanese grandfather.
Most mornings began the same way. He'd wake us up with a different test, which I was always ready for.
So was I.
So was I.
Yeah, right.
And so they're talking about how they studied with their Japanese grandfather, who's the only Japanese member of the family. Even his own daughter is white, so
yeah,
odd. But yes, he's Grandpa Mori, I think is his name.
Yep.
And we get a lot of like kind of just training stuff as he's teaching these kids martial arts, and we start to get glimpses of their personalities.
Yep. And so the dynamic of the family is he's full Japanese. He married a white woman. I don't know. You never meet her in any of the movies. It's clear that she has passed away since. Their daughter very clearly is more white than Japanese. However, you can't tell at all, but the actress who plays her is actually Hispanic, which I had no idea.
This is just an artifact of the movie being from 1992. Like, I think if this movie was made today, you would have just cast Japanese actors top to bottom. And you said, they are Japanese. That's why they're Japanese. So they're doing a bunch of like he's serious about training these kids. Like, they're throwing ninja stars. They're using all kinds of weapons, and you see them like they're in like the woods, sort of like near he lives in like this cabin in a mountainous area. So he's got like an obstacle course for them to run, like balancing and stuff. And these kids, like, I think Rocky's the oldest one. I can't tell how old he is. He's like 11 maybe.
Yeah.
And the youngest is Tum-Tum, and he's maybe 7. They don't say explicitly how old they are.
Something like that. And their real names, like we were calling them Rocky, Colt, and Tum-Tum. The real names are Michael, Jeffrey, and I'm blanking on Tum-Tum's name. Because Jeffrey is Colt, Michael is Rocky. No, Samuel.
No, Michael's Tum-Tum.
Michael's Tum-Tum, Samuel is Rocky, and Jeffrey is Colt. Yeah. That's what it was. And it's funny, like, this training thing, like, as a kid, I was so jealous of Grandpa's cabin. I wanted to live there. I thought it was so cool. Like how even like the interior of the cabin, the way it's kind of like the way that there's like a stairwell going up to the attic, but it's like all out in the open. You actually get a much better glimpse of the cabin in the next movie, Kickback. But I have so many things to say about the series as a whole, so I'm going to keep that to a minimum. I promise. We'll stick to the original, but I love that. I loved the obstacle course that he created for them to train on. The one thing I will say, it's weird to see how this progresses. In the fourth, like, if you think this is silly, High Noon at Mega Mountain, the fourth one that came out in like 97, is like the most bonkers thing even by comparison to this. Grandpa has a full-on like American Ninja Warrior / Gladiator obstacle course. It's somewhere on his property. I mean, there are flame geysers. There is like multi-layer things with like I can't even describe it. It looks like something.
It's a video game level.
Yes, it is very much a video game level. It is insane. This is much more grounded in reality, as wild as it is to say that about a Japanese grandfather teaching his white grandsons ninjutsu, which this isn't even ninjutsu. I'm not a martial arts expert, but generally I would assume that involves more stealth than what they're doing.
Yeah, I like I said, my only expertise in ninjutsu is what I picked up from the Turtles. So I cannot call myself an expert in that.
Same.
That and managing to at some point beat Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2 on the NES. That's my my ninja knowledge. So yeah, he tells him, he does this whole thing where he fights them at one point, and then he ninja smokes up into the trees.
Yep.
Somehow, and he's just having a good time with them, which is nice. And he tells them 2 bits of advice: never attack unless you're sure you're going to win, and also don't climb a tree that's full of thorns.
And then the fakest laugh I've ever seen from kids.
Yes. And now it's time for the Day of Names.
Okay,
Grandpa, where'd you get that ugly mask?
this mask my father gave to me on my Day of Names, and I will continue this tradition with you.
The Day of Names.
We've already got names, Grandpa.
Ah, you may have family names, but not ninja names. All right, Samuel,
Sir.
from this day forward until forever, you shall be known as Rocky, because you are strong, solid, and cool as granite rock.
Awesome.
Jeffrey, you are fast and free, spirit of the young wild horse. You shall be known as Colt.
Colt? That's cool.
What about me? Can I be Monster Destroyer? How about Super Killer?
How about Super Dork?
Just bad.
A little one. Since your energy begins and ends with your tummy, you shall be known as Tum-Tum.
Toad.
I can't wait to show these to Dad. He'll hate them.
Grandpa, will our dad be home tomorrow when we get back?
Well, he's a busy man.
And this is where he dubs them Rocky because he is strong and cool.
Like granite rock.
Then Colt because he's fast and free. And the little one is called Tum-Tum. And like, it's funny to me that this kid is like has a normal body type, like because this screams like 80s. I know this is 92, but like this should be Chunk from Goonies. Like everything about this kid is like, this is the fat kid, except he's not fat. Like he constantly has like candy hanging out of his mouth at all times.
All the time.
On paper, this kid weighs 400 pounds.
Absolutely. And I mean, he's always has, like you said, he has jelly beans everywhere. There's actually a joke later on, which I think, I don't know for certain, I think was a blooper. They're in their bedroom at night. And he's like, guys, I got some new jelly beans. You want some? And everyone's like, no, we're going to bed. Like, what are you doing? And then the lights go out, and then you hear a little pause. I'm like, why isn't the camera why have they not switched scenes? And you hear a little I choked on a jelly bean, and then everyone starts laughing. I think that was a blooper. I think that the kid who played Tum-Tum started eating a jelly bean and then choked on it, because that laugh felt a lot more organic than anything I've seen in the movie from them in terms of laughter.
I'd buy that. And of course, as we'll see, this ends up saving the day.
Mm-hmm.
So
Foreshadowing
jelly beans. So now we get to this FBI operation where they say something about their father, who's Grandpa says Dad's a very busy guy. He's not around a whole lot.
Yep.
Smash cut to Dad. We'll find out this is Dad driving a limousine, and this sheik gets out of it to have this meeting with Snyder, who is some sort of a crime lord. And we find out this is all an undercover op to catch this guy. They try to catch him, but he gets away on a ladder that is attached to a helicopter. Like this might as well be like a McBain bit from The Simpsons. Very, very classic. Again, I'm going to keep saying 80s. I know this is a movie from 92, but everything about this is very 80s.
The music with the synthy stuff is 80s. The way it kind of even films like the mob boss or the crime boss stuff, the way that Snyder looks, it's a bad guy from an 80s movie when he has a ponytail.
And a white suit.
Yes. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I wrote in my notes, I couldn't, they didn't say his name at first, so I didn't know what to write for this guy. I kept writing Steven Seagal until they said his name. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what he looks like.
Look at his tie. Like, I have the scene on right now. His tie is bonkers. He's got like this white suit with kind of like a maroon like dress shirt underneath it. And then just a tie that's got nothing but these bizarre like floral patterns that look like wallpaper that your grandma would have in her house. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know what, like, usually when they have one of these guys, like, they make their nationality really obvious for stereotype kind of reasons of like, oh, he's Cuban, he's got ties to, the USSR or whatever. Like, they don't do that. Like, he's just Snyder. And he gets away. Like the FBI partner or whatever is like, hey, we did great. We got like an orgy of evidence. And the guy's like, well, we didn't get Snyder. He got away. So
the overacting is wonderful. Him and Snyder has a line later on, which I'm going to save till we get to it. That's just like, I love Snyder. Rand Kingsley is the actor who portrays him. And he's only ever appeared he only has one other credit on an IMDb. I don't remember what it is. And I don't know what happened to this guy. I kind of want to like somehow interview him. What was it like being Snyder? Because like this movie is wild.
Yeah. And he is, he starts off as kind of like 80s villain, which he remains, but they do give him some like weirder bits to do as the movie goes on, which I'm like, oh, I wish they had steered harder into that. Like, I think that could have been really funny. Like, there could have been like some more like Zucker Brothers energy to like his stuff. So we see him meeting with his underlings. He's got this Smithers, whose name is Brown, I believe.
Yep, Mr. Brown. The feds have us all under surveillance.
Yeah, he's pissed. There's also he has an odd job as a henchman. I don't remember if this guy's name is said, but like
I don't know either.
1,000%. Like, I had to look up, like, is this the same actor who portrayed Odd Job? It is
Harold
not.
Sakota is the actor who plays Odd Job, I want to say.
Yeah, it is not Odd Job, but like coded at like dead ringer.
Very
minus
much
the
so.
hat. Yeah, and so yeah, they're pissed, and he finds out this guy used to work with Grandpa, and he knows that Grandpa's son-in-law is this FBI agent. So it's time to pay him a visit and do something.
Mm-hmm.
So we go back to the kids. They're kind of like tossing food around ninja style, like although some of these noodles end up on Grandpa, and they talk about what is a ninja.
Colt, what is a ninja?
A ninja is one who can use everything around him to trick his enemies. He is fast, and he is friendly to his environment.
A ninja is honest and good. His mind, body, and spirit are one. He has self-control. He has discipline.
A ninja loves nature, 'cause she is part of nature. A ninja never fights a battle if he cannot win.
A ninja. Mind, body, spirit, hearts are one. And never use your power on anyone weaker than yourself.
Hey, almost everyone is weaker than me, Grandpa. And slower.
Don't be overconfident.
Yeah, don't be overconfident.
Okay, Grandpa.
Bright, give me your hand. Love and trust be one. Just as a rope of one strand can be broken, a rope of 4 strand, no enemy can break.
A ninja uses their environment to their advantage. They have discipline. They love nature. Their mind, body, and spirit and heart are one.
Mm-hmm.
They should never use their power on anyone weaker than themselves, and they should not be overconfident. Also, a rope of 4 strands.
No enemy can break.
Right. So this is like several of like, may the force be with you, like all in one scene of like, here's all the advice about everything.
They do that a lot in this movie where they cram a lot of information into a very little amount of time. Like even just the scene before, Snyder's exposition, one, awful writing. Like he's like, no one would say this in a normal conversation where what basically, I forget how he delivers it, but essentially he's walking around, he's like, Mori Tanaka's my ex-partner, and he slams into his boxing bag. He's like, and Douglas, the FBI agent, married his daughter, you idiot. And that tells you everything. The fact that Grandpa used to, you find out in the next scene that we're about to get to, Grandpa used to train Snyder's men in ninjutsu and training them in martial arts and stuff. Once he found out that he's a bad guy, he stopped doing it. And how weirdly ironic that he marries off his daughter. Well, not like it was his choice, but his daughter marries the Fed that is tracking Snyder. So it's this weird like mixture of just like 2 bizarrely perfectly coincidental events happening all at the same time.
Yeah, it's like someone said, like, well, we need economy of story, but that's one of the things where like economy of story comes crashing into too many coincidences.
Yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, there probably was a cleaner way to do this, to set them in opposition to each other, also that they know each other. The other thing of like, they do this in movies a lot, where like the bad guy is like, we have to get that FBI agent who's on our tail. It's like, guys, the FBI has like thousands of agents.
Yep.
Like, you knock one out, like the other guy who works with him takes over. Like you
Yep.
don't stop. The investigation does not stop. And in fact, probably killing an FBI agent might increase the level of scrutiny. But like, we have to stop him. We have to stop Sam Douglas. So now we get to this scene where Grandpa teaches them like the technique. I forget what he calls it, but like this is always the thing in the movie, right? It's the 5-finger death punch.
Well, we skip just one moment where Snyder does confront Grandpa at his cabin, and there's a big fight with the kids. Like,
oh no, that's coming. That's next.
I could have
before we
sworn
do that. No. This is first. I got it. This is where they do the thing with the mask that's got the blinking red eyes, and he teaches them like.
I have the movie up right now. The mask, the blinking red eyes thing comes after the fight, because it's the last thing, the last bit of training before they go back to the city, which is just the suburbs.
Okay, I'll believe you if you got it on. I must have typed this wrong. I'm sorry. So yeah, he meets with Snyder, and this is where like you get a little more of that. You know, like, please come back to work for me, teach my guys how to be great ninjas. But I'm still crying, just so you know. and Grandpa says, no, we're not going to do that.
Well, you're looking good. You passed my little test, partner.
Snyder, the only mistake I ever made was being partners with you.
Your mistake was quitting. I made a fortune on those karate studios.
Blood money.
Come on. You're living in this junky place. You obviously can't find many students. I mean, look at these 3 runs.
They're not students, they're family.
Maybe they like to work for me.
I teach ninja, not murder.
Look, I want you to train my men so you can see they're kind of helpless. Hmm? You get back into training, and I'll pay you a fortune, huh? Hmm?
Is that all you want?
Actually, no. It's your son-in-law, Sam Douglas. Get him off my back for a couple weeks. For his sake. And yours, not for mine. Or else you not only lose the money, you may also lose a son-in-law. And who knows? With Douglas out of the way, there may be no one left to defend the honor of your beautiful daughter. You are getting slow. Old man, take the money. Talk to Sam Douglas. Get him out of my life, or I will rip out your heart.
And so they're like a fight. First, they do a fight that's like, it seems like it's a test fight.
Mm-hmm.
And Grandpa's, he disables these guys with the help of the 3 kids, and we get like a slow clap out of them. Like, you passed the test, like that kind of stuff.
And I love after that, he's like, who told? Grandpa's pissed, understandably so, because he thought his grandsons were going to get murdered by a bunch of like crime bosses, ninjas, and he goes, boys, come here. Like, who said I needed your help? I thought I told you to stay in the house. And it was one. Then the boys repeat back to him that line. It was like, it's not good to be overconfident, Grandpa. And he's like, you son of a bitch. You used my own words against me.
Yeah. You're right. I do have this in my notes correctly. I'm an idiot. I can't read. You're right. This is when, after this meeting, he says, I got to teach you guys the 5-finger death touch thing. Which is not like, it's not really the 5-finger death touch, but that's, if you've seen that in martial arts movies, they do this in Kill Bill, but so what it is he says, like, there's basically spots on the human body that if you attack them cause enormous amounts of pain. And so you attack this dummy, I'll show, and it's like real precise. He's like, if you're off by an inch, it doesn't do anything. But if you hit right here, it'll it'll cause crazy pain. And so you see this dummy's like eyes light up. And of course, the last of these 5, they're like seemingly obvious locations. It's like the middle of your sternum.
Like your neck, I think was one or something like that. Yeah.
This one's like in the sides. And then of course the last one, the like under your armpit.
Yep.
And then the groin is the last one. Like,
yep.
No surprise. Yeah. Hit a guy in the groin. It hurts. And so now we go back to their home, which is, I didn't look it up if it's the same shooting location, but it sure looks like the neighborhood from E.T.
I know it's filmed in California, right? I'm 99% certain it's California.
I looked it up. It's Oak Park, California, which is in Ventura County, which is the county that's north of L.A. So that's why I'm not 100% sure, because I'm pretty sure that E.T. was filmed in the San Fernando Valley, which is also north of L.A., but not so far north as to cross the county line. So it could be the same, but it's like very similar look. These locations are not that far from each other. So like, yeah, me as a Southern Californian, like this is a familiar looking environment.
I remember as a kid, I always thought this was like a really cool place, just because it felt very much like. So I didn't grow up in a development like they did here, or where this was filmed. But I did have lots of friends who did it, and the houses weren't nearly as nice as this, but it was still like it felt very familiar in that same vein, you know. Which I will say, seeing their house. They got a pretty big house from what I can see from the outside, right? Why do all the brothers sleep in the same room? What are the what are they utilizing the rest of the space for?
This clearly looks like it's like a 5-bedroom house or something. You're right. They're all in like bunk beds in one room. The rest are all game rooms, and you got a solarium and the usual stuff.
Yep.
So they come home. They meet with their mom, and they say, you got to call us by our new ninja names now, which they like you almost never hear their Christian names for the rest of the movie.
No, it's always Rocky, Colt, and Tum-Tum. You also meet Emily. Rocky loves Emily.
Yes.
You meet her for the first time.
I love how like realistic this girl is in terms of like, she's not like, they don't make her out to be like, oh my God, she's the most gorgeous girl in school and all that. Like, no, she just looks like a regular old 11-year-old that like this kid would have a crush on. Like, there's something like very like, oh good, they cast real humans to do this.
They did a good job, because the dialogue between them honestly feels like if these are two 11-year-olds who are just kind of figuring out like feelings for the opposite sex, this very much feels like that kind of conversation, like awkward. They don't really know what to say to each other. They don't know how to relate to each other just yet. And I also like
that felt very like authentic to me.
And I also like that they didn't try to force like a romance thing. Like, granted, I'm not saying like they do that in every single movie, but if in the 80s and 90s, it feels like they would try to force like a cute little like, oh, it's a little kiddie romance, right? Nah, like you get kind of the vibes that Rocky and Emily kind of like might have a thing type of thing. Like they might be just kind of figuring out they're going through puberty and figuring stuff out, but it never feels forced upon you. And I never thought about it till we were talking now. I'm like, that actually is pretty naturalish, compared to other stuff in this, at least.
Yeah, if they had hooked up at some point in the movie, it would have felt forced. Like, again, they're a little too young. They're just a smidge too young for that. Like, if they were like 13 and it was like, oh, time for like the first kiss or whatever, then that would have worked. But they're just young enough that they're like, no, they wouldn't even get that far.
Exactly.
So we have this. So Snyder is, he's sparring, and he says, I want these kids napped, because the idea being, if we kidnap the kids, that will, cow their FBI agent father into, holding back and not doing anything, which again, I'm not sure about the logic of that, because I'm pretty sure if you kidnap an FBI agent's kids, the response will not be to do nothing.
Yeah.
And back off. So, but yeah, this is where he says, everyone's under surveillance, our people. So we need, some third-party contractors to do the kidnapping for us. And so Mr. Brown, Smithers, says, well, I know some guys, they're relatives, or at least one of them is a relative. They're not ninjas, but they do a lot of reading.
I must say, I would most certainly consider getting radical on some lonely, misbegotten beach with this babe.
She is beauty for modern man to enjoy.
Hey, amigos, this is no library. You buy or you go.
Oh, my apologies, my good man. Hammer, go score the frozen fruit concentrate and those gnarly little snack cakes.
No sweat, dude.
Cool. Marcus, score some nacho chips and some radical salsa. Dude, none of that green stuff. Dude. And you, my good man? Open up the cash register. That's right, dude. Us three boneheads are sticking you up. Dude. Now open up that register, or I have to get nasty.
Smash cut to these three surfer dudes. I think only one of whom might get a name. Gets a name.
I had these all down. Fester is one of them. Fester is the main guy.
Lead.
He's the leader. They have them. They have their. You know what? I have the IMDb up. I'll look it up while you're talking, and I'll let you know what their names are. But Fester.
I'm
is
sure
one
they
of
have
them.
some names in the script, but I don't think
Marcus
they're said
and
out loud.
Hammer. They do say Hammer
Okay.
at one point. I think
All right.
I think the Asian guy is Hammer. I think Marcus is the blonde haired dude who's got this beautiful blonde hair. I do think it's funny. The actor who portrays Hammer, I don't know if he's done anything else since then. But he's a cinematographer apparently. His credited name is DJ Harder. Right? Like not in like as in disc jockey, but like a DJ is his first name, but his last name is Harder. He still works though. He is a camera operator for that new that new show with Jason Segel and Harrison Ford, Shrinking.
Oh.
Like he's still in the industry doing stuff. That's wild.
These three guys, so they are given like absolute cartoon surfer
Yes.
accents. Like again, I'm from Laguna Beach, California. If anyone should know this accent, it's me. And I only knew one kid who actually did talk that way. Yeah, like had like that fairly strong, like, whoa, dude. But yeah, nobody else. Like I don't know where this accent sprung from. It was this and like the Valley Girl accent.
Mm-hmm.
These two 80s sounds you would supposedly hear. I don't recall actually hearing them nearly as much in real life as entertainment would suggest to burst everyone's bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but it's very like it's so over the top. These guys are like it's like Bulk and Skull or whatever from Power Rangers. Like there's something very just like these are they're even more cartoonish than the rest of the movie they're in.
Yeah. Yeah. I also think they're an odd character because there's moments of them speaking like semi-intelligently just with that quote unquote surfer bro accent. Like they're like, what is it? Oh my gosh. They're even like when he's getting the call to ask about the kids, he's like, all right, sir, are you just looking for any kids or are there some specific kids you want us to kidnap type of thing? And the fact that he's just saying it out loud while holding up a convenience store, mind you. The first scene you see them at is that he gets a pager. He has a pager because it's the 90s, and he gets beeped asking for a phone call mid-robbery. And then he goes, excuse me, sir, can I please use your telephone? Just honestly a pretty good joke.
They'll even up the ante a little bit. I don't remember them saying this, but it was something along the lines of like, whoa, that's Kafka-esque. Like they didn't say that.
Yeah.
But there's every once in a while they'll throw in a vocab word that's kind of like, oh, that doesn't fit your profile, which is funny. Like it's again like shades of like Bill and Ted sort of, but like this is again they are coded as the dumbest. They're the Beagle Boys. They're the dumbest antagonists you could go up against for a trio of kids versus a trio of, I guess they're technically adults. They're probably in their, well, I think the characters are meant to be maybe in their early 20s, but they look older than that.
I was gonna say like late 20s, early 30s, maybe. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, a lot of just dudes as we meet them, and they're given the address to go to pick up the kids. So we get to we go back to Snyder, and they're on the phone. They're like, okay, we can get you the missiles in 2 days. So there's some kind of like arms deal.
He's definitely an illegal arms dealer. I mean, because that's what the first thing was when the whole thing goes down where the FBI is doing the little raid.
He's got like a little like warhead or something.
Yeah, and the way he opens it, he like breathe, like it's almost like he's building up his key or something like that. He goes and elbows right into it, like really aggressive. Like I guess just to show
crate,
off.
Yeah.
What? Sorry.
There's a wooden crate that he like elbows into and takes the thing. Yeah. So after this quick scene, we go to the kids in their room, which is, for 3 kids crammed into a room. It's pretty rad. There's like a trampoline in there. One kid's playing Super Mario Brothers 3.
I saw that.
Yep. And they're bickering or whatever, and like a red light goes off in the room that warns them mom's coming.
Someone's coming. Some motion sensor. I was so jealous of this room as a kid, man. Super Mario Brothers 3, which at the time I saw this, I didn't own any video game system, so I was like, I really wanted that. They had these cool decals of giant ninjas on their walls, which just looked fucking awesome. That trampoline, I've never seen a trampoline like that. That seems like a big safety hazard, that the only spot you can jump
Indoors?
on
Yeah.
is like a tiny little thing, and the rest is all springs around that. That seems like a super big safety hazard.
It's designed for you to get whack into a ceiling fan, I think. That's what
Pretty
it's for.
much.
Yeah. And to hear our thoughts on Super Mario Brothers 3, that episode just came out a little while ago. So, love that game. Mom's coming. They hop into bed. They turn off all the lights, and Tum-Tum, you said, is still eating jelly beans. And I can't remember if this is where it comes up, but they have they have the idea of like the tin can with a string.
Yes.
That goes to Emily's house, but it's not on a string. It's just a tin can on the end of like what should be like a desk lamp.
Yes.
And she has one too. How they communicate, I don't know. Any 2 tin cans can be quantum entangled.
They have a buried line. They have a buried tin can line. It just goes down the side of their house. They dug underneath the driveway and the street.
Right. So we get the dudes coming in their die yuppie scum van.
Yep.
Again, really dating the movie to see that slogan. But they're doing like a fuck, marry, kill kind of debate as they come up, and they're excited about breaking and entering. But they notice that when they pull up to the house, there's a whole bunch of FBI agents hanging around. So maybe they'll come back another time. And so we get this quick shot of Grandpa practicing katana in the moonlight before the next morning, and the kids are all getting ready for school.
Yep.
And they try to bicycle to school, but they are given chase by a group of, 5 or 6 bullies.
Rocky! What are we stopping for? Where's Emily? Who cares? She's slow. Yeah, she's slow. No, I'm gonna go look for her. Rocky loves Emily. Rocky loves Emily.
Nice bike. Yeah, looks like it fit my little sister perfectly.
Are you okay?
Nice job, show off.
Look, I'll get your bike back. Trust me. Busted.
It's a weird scene because it starts off with Mom making them their lunches, right? And I'm not going to dwell on it too long because I know I don't want to go too beat by beat with this, but I had to at least say none of the kids are likable in that moment. Rocky is snippy at everyone. He's like, come on, guys, we gotta go, come on. And Colt's running around like, where's my backpack? Where's my book? Where's my back? His backpack's on his fucking back. He just has to feel it on his shoulders. And then Tum-Tum's whining because his mom is not cutting his sandwich diagonally. I was like, losing my head about this, and I know my daughter is not that age yet, so I hope she is not that particular and that moody when she is like 7. I know she will get that way probably when she becomes a teenager because every teenager is moody, but I don't know.
I got a 5 and an 8-year-old, and I have bad news for you. That the correct cutting of sandwiches is a big fucking deal. God forbid you do it diagonally if they want it cut lengthwise or vice versa, and always ask before you cut the crust off if they want it. They usually want it off, but the one time you're like you figure, well, they always want the crust cut off. You cut it off, and then they go, I wanted the crust on. You're like, well, I can't glue it back on. Like, just get ready for it. It'd be
it's funny.
Get very
now,
clear orders and film it. Film your kids, because then they're going to come back and go, I wanted this. And I'm like, that's not what you said. I don't actually film my kids ordering food, but like I wish I had the wherewithal to do it, because the number of times I've been like, but this is what you wanted. And it's just, it's an ongoing disaster.
Now that I think about it, the other morning, so my kid has like just 2 little mini muffins as like a start off her day, right? And I always take them and I rip them in half to kind of make it look like she's getting more muffin than she actually is getting. And the one time, like earlier this week, my wife did not rip it up, just gave her the 2 muffins. She's like, no, I want 4. And it's because she's so used to me ripping them up. She didn't know that it's the exact same thing, which was amusing. But no, and the bully scene here, after that whole bit, Emily meets them at their house. They ride to school together, and then the boys start, quote unquote, showing off. They go into a construction zone, and they just start. Honestly, I thought this was cool as a kid. Like, it's clear like there's these hills that are going down, and they're ramping off these hills, which, now as an adult, I'm kind of like, oh, I would probably die if I tried to do that. I don't know if I could ride a bike that way, but they were doing that, and then while they're doing that, Emily can't catch up, and somehow they end up back in a development, even though it feels like they're in their development. They leave to go to the construction yard, and then they come back to a different development, I guess. And while that's happening, while they're showing off and Emily gets left behind, that's when the bullies show up and just take her bike. Like, that's so weird to me, like, just out of the blue, that they just are just taking, like, if anything, normally in a movie like that, the bully wouldn't just be 2 random dudes, 2 random boys take a girl their own age's bike. It's usually other boys, you don't normally see that in movies.
Also, the bullies are all on bikes, so when you steal a bike, it's like, well, who's going to ride this extra? How do you drag it behind you? Like, what do you do with it?
They were just tailing it along with them.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the kids are like reluctant to fight them. And I got the impression that this was the idea of like, well, they were told by their grandpa, not to use their powers to wail on people, even though these are bullies that, they should be, protecting Emily from. But they seem like despite their ninjutsu knowledge, they are afraid of these kids at this point in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a quick moment of the villains just saying, we got to get those kids, we got to get them before midnight because this deal is going down. And, we pick them up after school. And the dude's like, what time does school get out? I never stayed till the end.
I don't know. I never stayed to the end.
Dude. So yeah, now we get the bullies again with a 2-on-2 basketball game. They figure they'll try and win the bikes back, and they stupidly say, well, 1st to 10 wins, but we'll spot you 9 points. So,
Yep.
Unwise, but yeah, they almost come back, but Colt kind of messes it up. He gets too cocky, basically.
Well, no, they win. They do win the basketball game. Rocky and Colt win the basketball game. They spot the bullies 9, and they scored 10 baskets, so the bullies couldn't get any, which is absolutely bonkers.
Okay, then we watched. So this is interesting that this came up, because there are 2 different cuts of the movie.
What?
There's an international cut, and I guess that's the one that, like, I rented this on iTunes. That's the one I saw. They lose.
Whoa!
In the international cut, so like
new.
Yeah, so they're at like it's like 9-9 or whatever, and then the bully says something that like gets under Colt's skin, and he basically gets a little too aggressive and sloppy, which causes him to lose possession, and then the bully knocks in the shot, something like that. So they win. And in fact, there's a second scene, I guess, which is not in the one you watched, at the end of the movie, where they confront the bullies again and kick their asses to get the bike back.
Like actually like fighting them?
Yeah.
Oh my God. This is like finding, oh my gosh, I need to watch this now.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So that's so interesting. Because I read about that in the Wikipedia article, and I was like, oh, that must have been the one I watched, because that actually, to me, makes more sense, like, narratively, that they have this setback, and then now at the end of the movie, armed with their confidence and ninja knowledge, these guys need their asses kicked anyway. They're deserving of an ass kicking, so they get one.
That's so funny. So they repeat that same type of trope in the next movie. In the next movie, it's a baseball game. And it's not like this where the bullies challenge them suddenly to a basketball game. It's that the boys all play in like a little league baseball league, and on their team they're in the championship game, and the bully, the same bully, the white bully in this, he is the bully in the next movie too, and he's a complete asshole to Colt. The whole team is an asshole to Colt, causes him to lose his shit. And then because of that, a fight breaks out, and then the whole team, both teams, they don't get disqualified, but they postpone the final game for like a couple days, for like a week or something like that. So that way they have time to cool down. And so then all the adventures of the movie happens, and then once they gain all that knowledge, they come back and they're able to win the game and confront the bully in some way, shape, or form. And the bully does get beaten up, but in a way that you might not expect. And I'll be honest, I think as much as I love the version I grew up with, you're right, that does make more sense thematically, because the way they win the basketball game is that Rocky pulls like an Air Jordan. I kid you not. He's going from he jumps from a standstill at the free throw line and launches himself all the way up to do a dunk. I'm dead serious.
That is not in the one I watched. So in the one I watched, the bullies are basically playing dirty. They're like knocking him to the ground and stuff. And
they did that in this one too, but yeah, they're clearly different ending.
Yeah, Colt gets a ball to the nose, and he's like, all right, I've had it. And like Rocky is basically like yelling at him, like, just throw me the ball. I'm open. Don't go for it. Send me the ball so I can get this in. But Colt is feeling butthurt about getting this ball to the face. So he tries to go for it, like drive past them. And he just falls over the bully. Like this fails. They get the ball, they score, and they win. And then they want to fight, but the coach blows the whistle, and everybody has to go inside. Recess is over.
Wow.
So yeah, totally different. And so interesting. If I had to guess, this is because the first movie was released by Touchstone, which is Disney.
Yeah.
So Disney may have been a little more like, let's cut that down. The movie's already got a lot of fighting, maybe kid-on-kid violence we don't want to show.
Yeah.
So they took all that out. So they just win. Yeah, he wins the basketball game with ninja magic instead.
That's wild. I had no idea.
Yeah. So Grandpa tails the limo to the marina. So he sees, now we know that there's this boat where the deal's going to go down. He watches Snyder doing some kind of deal making with his ninjas. And it's funny, these ninjas are all dressed up, in full ninja outfits, which is like, that's fine when you're doing ninja stuff, but you can't just like walk into, a grocery
Someone's
store.
going to notice that.
Yeah, you can't just like walk into McDonald's and buy some burger and fries like dressed as a ninja. Like the thing is supposed to be stealthy, but outside of context, it's the most conspicuous thing you could wear.
And that scene, real quick, is an example of the music that I like. Now, I don't know if they changed the music. Now that I know you watched the international version, maybe the soundtracks are slightly different. I don't know. But the music in that scene of Grandpa watching the boat and everything has that very 80s like synth that like almost Halloween.
That was fine. Yeah, I think that's there. That is fine.
Okay.
That music is all okay.
I love that music.
It's the light. Anytime the music is like when it's lighter moments, it's constantly just like do 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 do.
Yeah.
It's weird, and you'll hear it in clips and stuff. It's just kind of always in your face. All right, so where are we? So the kids are at home. They're playing. The babysitter comes over. Their nonverbal babysitter who has no lines. She's just scary old lady with like curlers in her hair.
We didn't order any pizza. That's it.
Oh, you're right.
That's the only line.
Yeah, but yeah, Roald Dahl-esque babysitter is there. Colt is sitting around in his dad's office skulking, and Mom comes in, and this is their chance to see the file on Snyder, know who they're up against and what's going on.
FBI agents always leaving their files out in the open for their family to see, and anyone else wandering through their office.
Right. And this is where he learns that Grandpa is a former associate of this guy, and so Colt is now mistrustful of their grandfather for most of the rest of the movie.
Yep.
Which will that'll be kind of a thing.
Well, there you are. You should be getting ready for bed. It's 9 o'clock.
Where's Dad?
He's working late again on this case, honey. I'm gonna go meet him right now.
Is he gonna tell Grandpa not to teach us anymore?
Honey, we'll see, okay? Dad's been pretty upset about his work, and I don't think this is the best time to ask him.
Who is this bad guy anyway?
Oh, there's a picture of him right there on the top of that file.
What time are you guys coming home?
Late. Now, you be good, okay?
Guys, check this out. This is the guy from yesterday. He's the one Dad's after. Grandpa is friends with a criminal.
No way.
Yes way. It says so on the back.
Hugo Snyder, business associate, Maury Tanaka. That's Grandpa. Do you think Grandpa's a crook too? Oh, come on, no way.
But it says he's friends with that guy.
And we saw him joking around with Grandpa yesterday. We gotta tell Dad. Can't tell Dad. If he knows that they're still friends, he'll never let us see Grandpa again.
Can't believe Grandpa's a bad guy.
He's not. Is he?
So they debate this, like, you know, is Grandpa's friends with a criminal? Is he one too? Oh, we have to tell Dad. Like, it's in Dad's file. He knows. Anyway, so the dude van pulls up.
I didn't even put that together. I feel so dumb. You're right. Dad already knows it's in the file. Sorry, that got me.
If anybody knows, it's him. Yeah. All right, so the dudes spy on this pizza delivery guy, and they figure that's how they're gonna get into the house. That's going to be their in. And so the doorbell rings. The sitter goes to answer it, and as you said, we didn't order a pizza. At which point they just shove the pizza in her face and stick her in a closet.
Yep.
Awesome.
Who is it?
Pizza, Mom.
We didn't order any pizza.
Some kids called. Yeah, and if you don't pay, we'll TP your house. Uncool, bro. Dude, it's sensitive. Much better. Okay, first we feast, then we felony.
I love after they do that, they stick her in the closet, they take the slice out, and they go, all right, first we feast, and then we felony. And
right.
Honestly, that's a pretty good line. It's such a, like, for this movie, for like what it's trying to do, that is a funny line from like a surfer dude. Like, I don't know. I think that line really works.
Again, you just have to imagine they're Rocksteady and Bebop.
Yeah.
Like that's who they are. And so the kids notice that happening from upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
And so they now, they retreat to their rooms to talk about what to do. They said, was it good news? The delivery guy creamed the babysitter with a pizza. Bad news, they're carrying guns. And so then they talk themselves out of calling the police, which is batshit.
And also the music that it changes, like, and also they're carrying guns. And the looks on their faces are like, oh shit, this got serious.
Yeah, and they're like, we can't call the police. We have to prove that we're ninjas. That's why we have to do this. Which I guess I'll take as kid logic.
That's honestly, that's solid kid logic.
Yeah, I would say, but yeah, otherwise, like, no, call the fucking police, man. There's people in your house with guns. So now we go into the Home Alone sequence where like the kids get color coded first of all. So they have like the Ninja Turtles, they're like green, blue, and
white, actually, because the one dude, so originally they were green, blue, and red, and then I want to say maybe not, green, blue, and yellow, actually.
It's like mustard yellow.
Yeah, and Colt paints over. Tum-Tum is yellow, Colt is blue, I think, and Rocky's green, and And Colt paints over his blue mask to be white, so that way when he's hiding in the room that their mom is renovating, he can blend in with the background a little bit better. Like he turns his gi inside out and puts on and spray paints his mask white, so that way they can't see him.
Yeah, and they play real fast and loose kind of with time in this sequence of like, because they're doing stuff that takes a lot of prep work. And like in Home Alone, like he has an idea of when the robbers are coming, so he goes home and everything is already set up before they get there. Here they don't have this is an invasion, so somehow they're like cross cutting with like the dudes are like wandering around the house. Like it's not that big a house, so you just have to sort of go with this. But there's a lot of stuff that kind of happens throughout this sequence. Oh, one thing I wanted to point out, one of them calls pizza za.
Yeah.
That got. Have you ever heard a person actually refer to pizza as za, like unironically?
No, and it's funny. For years, I thought he was referring to like the sauce of it, like because it's good za too. But now when I first heard it, I thought that I should say, because for some reason it sounded like they were complimenting like a specific aspect of the pizza, not the pizza itself. But I've never heard someone refer to it as za.
I realize there's like sections of the country where people just refer to like soda as pop and things like
wrong,
that. There's regional differences. It is incorrect. It is not pop. I'm sorry, northern half of the country. It's just bounces off my eardrums. But anyway, yeah, this just struck me as like, oh, somebody like noticed that like technically that's in the dictionary as a shortened version of pizza, but I've never heard it actually used.
Yeah, I've never heard it.
Anyway, so so they go back into their cool room. The dudes go in there, but they're too well hidden, like underneath the underside of the bunk bed and in the laundry hamper. Like these aren't the most amazing hiding spots, but these dudes are not very thorough in their searching at all.
The bunk bed one is the most egregious. Like the hamper one, at least, like you could maybe make the argument that it just looks like a pile, like a hamper filled with clothes. So like, yeah, the kid's not going to fit in there because it's just stuffed with clothes. But like the bunk bed one is egregious because like he's out in the open. Like you could see him probably from not sitting on the bunk bed.
Right. But they leave. And so then this is when, I said Colt makes himself white because you asked what some of these extra rooms are for. Well, one of them is being renovated. So he goes in there to hide. And the plan is he's going to lure them in there and kick their asses for a while, giving the other two time to set up booby traps and other stuff, which is exactly what happens. There's a whole bunch of things where like he'll like kind of pop out from the shadows and like tap one of them on the shoulder, and that causes the other two to react and like punch that guy in the face, like real like, again, like Power Rangers slapstick stuff. Three
Stooges almost to an extent as well. One of my favorite jokes of the whole movie though is where Colt taps the two of them on the head, and they just instinctively just turn and punch their own friend in the face, and they're like, "Oh, dude, what happened?" He's like, "You hit me!" And then Colt pops out and scares the shit out of him. But the delivery of it and like the look he gives too is just is so perfect for like the joke it's trying to relay. You hit me, like what the fuck's wrong with you? What do you mean what happened? You hit me. It's everything was said in the tone and the facial expression, which I'm not, it's few and far between when there's moments like that in this movie where it's so pitch perfect.
Yeah, and so now the other kids are like, they're laying a trail of like slippery shit on the floor and jelly beans on top of that, so huge slip and fall hazard. And so, yeah, so they come out, they slip on it. The other two are throwing CDs at them like they were Ninja Stars.
That would be very expensive Ninja Stars back in the early 90s if you think about it.
Yeah, true. And then Rocky kicks Fester, the main one, into a bedpost, which looks like that hurts pretty good. And this is when he gets the belt of ties around his neck.
Yep.
And meanwhile, like Tum-Tum is making little like powder bombs.
Pepper bombs filled with like pepper and it's like cayenne pepper, regular pepper, and that's once again foreshadowing because it comes back a little bit later on in a kind of an unexpected way.
Yeah. So yeah, got still just a lot more Home Alone shit until we move on to phase 2, which is to get them to drink a giant quantity of X-Lax by putting it inside a Coke.
Yep.
Okay, phase 2. Hold it. Before phase 2, I've got a little surprise.
What's that stuff?
Remember last year when you were sick and you couldn't take a dump for 3 days? Yeah? Well, this is the stuff that makes you have to go. Instant diarrhea. You're sick. Not as sick as they're gonna be.
Get over, man. I'm hurting.
Stuff is good!
Give me that. Hey! Jim, those kids, man. I'm really going to injure them.
Mission accomplished. Okay, guys. Phase 2? Phase 2.
That was the first time that I ever saw that. It was the first time I'd ever heard of X-Lax or any type of like laxative to help, move the bowel system along. So I remember my dad having to explain to me what X-Lax was because of this movie.
And they do say it out loud, like, "Hey, Tum-Tum, remember when you like couldn't poop for 3 days and Dad made you drink this?" Like they had to lampshade that for the kids who wouldn't otherwise know.
Diarrhea.
Yeah, and so at that point, they basically retreat to their dad's office, and they have like a bunch of like makeshift weapons. And I do like this that like Fester like kicks the door in, of like, haha, and then like the door just bounces back in his face. I thought that was actually pretty well executed. And so they're menacing them, but the other two dudes who have now drank from the cup of diarrhea need to go.
Well, and they kidnap Emily. They when they're in the boys' room after all the stuff happens, they use their can phone and call Emily, and Emily comes over because she hears that, and that's when they're trying to they're all pointing guns on her. And yeah, this is the scene that I mentioned before. This whole like Home Alone-esque moment is where the tie around his neck, where he strangles him and then ties him up to the railing to choke him, where he just can't reach it, and his friends have to come get him. And when they get Emily, and then they all go into their dad's office. It's like, "All right, little dudes, we got a surprise for you." And then, like you mentioned with the door thing, they kick it open and it slams back in their face. And everything happens. He's like, "All right, I got one question though. Where's your little brother?" And of course, he is up, somehow climbed up, and somehow this boar's head that is mounted to the wall above their dad's office door can hold that child. Like, I'm not saying Tum-Tum is big, but like that thing, there's no way that thing would be able to support a human, short of like maybe like like an infant. But when the two guys run to the bathroom, Tum-Tum invades the one guy's bathroom with that boar's head and slams it into his stomach. I can only imagine how bad that would have hurt, not just because of the boar's head going into his stomach, but the fact that he just shat his brains out on, like, and his stomach's probably pretty sensitive on top of it.
Yeah, and again, this is like there's like a plunger fight.
Yep.
And all this kind of stuff, but they let the babysitter out.
I hope you saved some pizza for us.
Yeah. And even though they've subdued the dudes, unfortunately now Brown and Odd Job and also ninjas, it's too late. So they are taken. They're going for a ride.
Now, presumably, Fester and Marcus and Hammer are dead, because remember after they call Brown the first time and tell him like, "Hey, we couldn't kidnap them because there's FBI guys everywhere." And Brown's like, "Fester, you need to get this done or we're going to have to kill you." And he goes, "Oh, bummer." And then just hangs up and keep going on. Presumably they're dead. Like they're sleeping with the fishes right now.
Yeah, they could be. I don't think we ever see them again.
No, you never do.
Yeah. So the kids are taken to the boat. The FBI is meeting at the house. They're talking to Sam about what to do, and Grandpa basically says he's going to go get the boys back. Give me an hour, which is his plan. So the Grandpa's sneaking onto the boat. The kids are there, and everybody, like, the ninjas are ninjas. They're dressed like the Foot Clan, but they all have like machine guns too.
Yep.
So just in case ninjutsu doesn't work, we have assault rifles.
Just in case, we can still resort to straight up murder.
Yep. So the kids are imprisoned, and they're like, well, why don't we eat our way out? And Colt still thinks maybe their grandpa sold them out, which, again, it would take me a lot to assume that my own grandfather was trying to have me killed. I think he jumps to this conclusion
very quickly. After having years of nothing but love from his grandfather, it's like, well, or maybe like your grandfather did something bad and he wasn't like that anymore. Like that would be the most logical assumption to me. Like, why would he automatically assume, especially after the fact that his grandfather was literally fighting the people that kidnapped them?
Yeah. No, they're trying to manufacture some conflict between the brothers, which is fine. So their grandpa's now infiltrating. He's kicking ninjas down the stairs. So help is on the way. But the kids have to get out of this room they're imprisoned in. And they remember their training that they must use their environment.
Yes.
Hey, what's the matter with us? Don't you remember what Grandpa said? Everything around us can be our friend. Be friendly to your environment. That is the ninja way.
Okay. All right, Rocky, so what are we supposed to do? Are we gonna go make the friendly door open? Hey, Mr. Door, how you doing? Will you be my friend and open up for me? No? You know what? I think we're out of friends in this room.
Come on. I know there's a way out. I know it.
Rocky, would you give it up? We're dead. That's simply it. We are dead.
He's right, Rocky. We're goners.
What are you doing?
Can you order pizza on that phone?
Shh.
Hello, security.
Yeah, I'm in the kid's cell. Can you call me back? I want to test out the phone.
Rocky, you're crazy.
Just watch. Hello?
This is a phone check. Is that you, Frank?
Wait, you must mean the guard. Hold on. It's for you.
Frankie, you there, Frank?
I'm sorry, he's out.
And so Rocky uses, there's a phone in the room, so he summons security, and as soon as the guard comes in, they just knock him out.
It's kind of funny that that even worked, because his whole thing, it's like he impersonates the guard. He's like, hey, it's me in the kids' room. I just want to make sure there's something not wrong with the line. Can you call me back? I want to check the line. And so then the dude calls him back and he's like, it's a phone check. Is that you, Frank? Very kind of like, I don't know if it's New York is the right term, but they kind of like, is that you, Frank? You know, Frank the Ninja, just guarding the kid's cell.
Well, also that no one goes like, well, clearly these kids all have prepubescent high kid voices. Like no one's going like, yes, that sounds like an adult human on the other side of this phone. Yeah. So again, silly stuff, but they escape. Brown sees that the kids have escaped. So now we get the Snyder yelling at him, I'm going to tear out your liver, if you don't get these kids.
There is no excuse. They're just kids. Kids! I want them found now, or I'll tear out your liver.
I understand.
All right, move out. Move out.
Please let me catch them. Pretty please let me catch them.
Sorry, that line, I'm not to go on too long because I know we're getting closer to the time to our time, but that line is my favorite line in the entire movie.
I'll tear out your liver.
Just it's the delivery of it. It's the most absurd, silly, ridiculous moment in the whole movie where the kids escape and Brown's like he's like, I can't believe they escaped. And then it cuts to Snyder talking on a very 80s cell phone, just yelling, kids, I want them found now, or I'll tear out your liver. And it just, I don't know, just something about it. It makes me laugh every time. It's not meant to be funny, but it just makes me laugh because it's just so comically over the top.
Yeah. It reminds me a little bit of that line from, was it Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, sort of kill him with a spoon. Why a spoon? It'll hurt more. It was one of those. I should have done that. I'm sorry, that was an Alan Rickman line. Excuse me. It'll hurt more.
There you go.
I have to Alan Rickman it up. All right, so now we get to like just punching and kicking. Like we have disposable goons and kids to punch and kick them. So we get lots of good ninja violence. They're using some makeshift weapons.
Some of the best
stuff.
choreography of the movie too, which isn't saying much because it's meant to be a kids movie, but there's lots of moments in here I was actually impressed by some of the little tricks they tried to do with it. And then it does lead into the callback that we were talking about before with the light up the eyes, boys, light up the eyes, where the big dude from before shows up, like Snyder's henchman.
It's Odd Job.
Yeah, the poor man's Odd Job. And they just kick him in the nuts a whole bunch.
Yep. Well, as they're kicking and punching in these like spots, they intercut the shot of the dummy with its eyes lighting up, just to let you know, like, that they're doing the technique. And even before we get to that, I believe they have this showdown with this guy who's like in kabuki makeup, and they hit him in the face with like hot steam, and then they take his katana blades, and this is where they like cut his clothes off so he's down to his underwear, and then Tum-Tum gives him one just punch in the face to knock him out. Like it's cool cartoon kid ninja violence.
There is one moment in the fight right before that. I'm remembering now. They're in like clearly it's supposed to be part of the boat, but it's clearly like a warehouse, and they make their own makeshift like nunchucks. And Rocky, who's clearly must have had some martial arts training, the actor who plays him, because he's doing like nunchuck type of stuff. And if you look at the actor's face, he's scared out of his mind. Like, I don't want to get hit in the face with this thing. He looks so nervous. It's kind of weird to watch.
That's cute. So Grandpa shows up, like and it's like, first it's like, oh, there's a ninja. Oh, wait, it's Grandpa. And then it's like, oh, Grandpa's going to throw a knife at us. But of course, the knife is at the guy who's right behind them. And we get a big hug and a reunion. So everybody's fine. And the kids, they all run into, like, there's like a shipboard dojo on this freighter.
Yep.
Or a room they've converted into like a giant fighting pit. Basically.
Exactly.
So they run in there. And this is where I believe they have the fight with Odd Job and knock him out. And then Snyder comes in this like shimmery, like silk maroon gi, like game show gi. It's really bright. And he gives him Grandpa one last chance to teach his men. And he says no. So now we're going to have to go mano a mano between Snyder and Grandpa.
Very nice, old man. You've taught them young ones well.
Yes, they have learned well.
What do you say? Teach my men?
No.
Shame. Then I'm gonna have to kill you.
Let my family go.
No.
Then we fight. You and me alone. No one else. And if I lose...
Then you die.
And if I win...
Well, golly. I'm a sport. If you win, the kids can go free. Is that understood? Yes, sir! Am I a nice guy or what?
You're a geek.
May I speak to my family before I fight?
Certainly.
Come here, boys. Now, listen, boys. Stay back. Don't try to help me.
Grandpa!
What?
But Grandpa, but what if you lose?
Remember lesson number 1. Never fight unless you're sure you can win.
Here, take these for luck.
All right. 4 strands of rope.
The kids weirdly sit this one out. Almost, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, they sit out. And I apologize. So the scene before was the best choreography for the kids. This fight scene between Grandpa and Snyder is the best choreography of the movie. Like, it's very clear, like, they use a lot of stunt doubles for Grandpa. They like hike up his like face mask thing a little bit higher to mask that it's not him. And then in the close up shots, they bring him back down. But There's some really good fight choreography in this, all things considered, and it's clear the actor who played Rand Kingsley, because he doesn't really you don't see a stunt double for him a lot, and he's doing a lot of really decent movement. I don't know if he's a martial artist or not, or just very athletic, so he can be physically he can make the move seem legit to someone, the layman like myself. But it's really fun to watch.
Yeah, no, he's good. As you said, he does not appear to be a stunt double. He appears to be doing this himself. And so they keep fighting. Grandpa takes a pepper bomb to the face.
Yep, there's the callback to earlier.
Yep, and then he's losing, and he goes to talk to the kids, and the kids kind of give him a pep talk, and Tum-Tum gives him a bag of jelly beans.
Yep.
For good luck or whatever. Here, have some jelly beans, because it's jelly bean time, but that's going to come in real handy, because as they continue to fight, finally, Grandpa shoves the jelly beans in Snyder's mouth and he chokes on them.
Yep.
And that gives him the edge to win the fight.
Well, he gets the jelly beans before the fight starts, but he keeps them in his gi because Tum-Tum gives him the jelly beans as the one final, may I speak to my family before I fight? And Snyder goes, certainly, and laughs while doing it. That's when he gets the jelly beans. But when he puts them in Snyder's mouth, it's because Snyder picks him up. He's holding him up in the air. He's like, say goodbye to Grandpa, boys. Huh? And he just really trying to be reap in his quote unquote victory. And he's just yelling, ha. And that's when Grandpa just puts it right down his throat. And like you said, it gives him just enough distraction to win. It's kind of a silly ending to it. It for the movie, I get it, but it's kind of lame when you think about your bad guy was just thwarted because he got jelly beans stuck in his throat,
Yeah. Well, he pulls a machine gun and he's like, all right, well, that's enough fun. I'm just going to shoot people. But fortunately, the FBI now has, I guess their hour that they gave Grandpa ran out. So Dad puts a slug into Snyder's shoulder, and all the goons and ninjas are led down the gangplank, and the parents tell the kids they ended up being great ninjas. Mm-hmm. They can continue to train with Grandpa, and now it's pizza time, and Grandpa says, I hate pizza.
His delivery, too.
First of all, no one hates pizza.
No, no one hates pizza.
Here's my next question, because what I have in my notes is we now we have this Star Wars wipe to the kids on their bikes.
Oh, yeah.
And this goes into the scene I mentioned before. So how do you think the movie ends? Because you've seen the canonical ending.
Well, I guess the North American ending, at least. The way it ends is that they, like he says, I have a group of heroes, ninjas, to take out for pizza. And Grandpa goes, I hate pizza. And then it just is a wide shot of them driving their car out of the crime scene. And it's the credits start rolling. It says a film by John Turteltaub, but that's how it ends.
Wow. Okay. So So I have the international ending. So they go from this Star Wars horizontal wipe, which they've not used as an editing technique anywhere else in the film. So we get this, which is why it stood out to me of this is not part of the language of this movie to do this wipe. So the kids are all bicycling home, and Rocky wants to impress Emily, again talking about showing off for her. Mm-hmm. And so the bullies come back, and they're and Rocky's like, we don't want to fight you, and then they're threatening them, we're gonna kick your ass or whatever. And then he looks over at Emily, and Emily goes, time to show off.
Come on, man, let me ride your bike. No, you rode it halfway home already. Just let me borrow it for a minute.
I don't care. You lost yours.
I did not lose it. It got stolen. Well, Tum-Tum, look at that.
Hi. Can I walk you home?
If you wanted to show off, we wouldn't be walking. Rocky!
Nice bikes.
I think it's time we taught you jerks to listen.
Look, we don't want to fight you. Why don't you just stand aside and give us our bikes so nobody gets hurt?
Rocky.
Look, I'm gonna ask you again to let us go.
No.
Emily, shell off.
And so they go, okay. So they kick these kids' asses. The bullies scatter, and they get their bikes back, and they take off on their bikes down the street. And that's when we get a film by John Turteltaub.
Do they play the song Kid Power? Power to the
Yes.
kid. Oh, my God. That song is wild.
Well, again, early 90s, you have to have a rap song at the end of your movie that explains what you just saw.
Mm-hmm.
So that has to be there. There was a law passed by Congress, I think, in 1990 that said you had to do that.
Absolutely.
So that is the two endings to Three Ninjas, and that brings us sort of to the end of the podcast. So, so Josh, I'll ask you. I understand that this was not a thing for like my group of kids because I'm just a smidge older than you, but for a whole bunch of kids that are the right age group, they're still like. I remember when I mentioned on the Discord server when I said, "Oh, I think we're going to do Three Ninjas." People light up.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, people again of that age group. People will be like, "Ooh, Three Ninjas!" I loved that movie growing up. So, what do you think it is about this film and this franchise that resonates for that group?
Oh man, I think a lot of it is just that kind of youth empowerment. Like it's the idea that like you could defend yourself. Like it obviously this would not be real, but as a kid, I'm like, oh, if I trained in martial arts like them, I could beat the shit out of adults too. For self-defense, of course. I would never just go around beating up adults, but that's how it made me feel. It empowered me as a kid. And also just the like anything like with like martial arts was just cool to me as a kid, and seeing that all with a bunch of kids, like people that looked like me that could fight and learn like ninjutsu and stuff, it was just amazing to me. And so I very much kind of put myself on top of that. I have two younger brothers, so all three of us love this. So we were very much like three brothers who all love martial arts. I was the oldest. That's why I identified with Rocky. My middle brother was Colt, and then my youngest was Tum-Tum. So like everything, all the stars aligned, as it were, for us to kind of get into this movie. And then in turn, discovering all the other sequels and everything. Like, I don't know if I like the sequels as much as I like this one. I think some of the sequels are better than this. Well, one sequel's better than this. The others are worse, but I'll spare you and your listeners any descriptions as to why. But if you invite me back on, I'll force you to watch some of the other ones.
I can't tell if that's a threat or not, but I'd be happy to talk about the others. This was a good time.
It was
okay.
They're interesting to say the least. But I love this movie, man. It spoke to me at a time when I really was like kind of coming into my own in terms of like finding out what I liked and didn't like as a kid. So it just kind of hit me at the perfect time. So I wonder if it did the same for other kids. I can't speak to it for other people, like, because if you don't like martial arts, maybe you're not going to like this. But I guess the hijinks, the comedy, I feel like it feels very much something that kids enjoy.
I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head, which is like when you're a kid, you want to see kids do cool stuff. And so like, yes, this particular film didn't fill that slot for me because of my age, but there was plenty of stuff that was, when I was young, coming up in the 80s, like obviously the Goonies, I think holds up damn well. There were things like The Explorers that I watched as a kid, even like horror movies like The Gate is about a bunch of kids. Like, so there's something about like when you have a group of kids as the protagonist, watching them overcome all kinds of obstacles. And of course, kids rule, adults drool, being the, Nickelodeon generation that I come from. That idea that like, yeah, kids can do anything and we're not, you can't push us around.
Yep.
We're human beings. There's something about that. And then, as you said, like the magic ingredient of martial arts, which, there were many martial arts movies before this. There have been many since. Like, there's just something about watching people subdue a foe with nothing but their hands, right? No guns, no, just kicking and punching, with flair, that is just always going to be evergreen. Like, it's always cool to see, which is why like they've upped that to like, things like your Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon line of movies where it goes beyond physics to
it's
ballet.
more fantastical than anything else. And I think like you haven't really seen another kids like live action kids movie like this, for better or worse. Like I almost wonder if the violence wouldn't be like appropriate, like if they wouldn't make something like this now, because
there's like Spy Kids or that like Shark Boy and Lava Girl, like.
But even that Spy Kids is almost 20 years old now, over 20 years old now. So like what has come out in the last 5 to 6 years?
We're kind of due for like a movie about a group of like, 4 scrappy kids.
Yeah.
Finding a treasure or fighting some bad guys.
Going on an adventure together or something like that. Yeah, I could see that. And yeah, I don't know, man. I love this movie. I still do. I know it's got flaws and I know it's just silly and goofy and there's so much bad, like there's so many quote unquote bad things about it, but I can't help but love it.
And that's nostalgia, folks.
There it is. There it is.
No, I think that's a great way to wrap it up. I couldn't have summed that up better myself. I think that's one of the wonderful things that looking back at this stuff does. Like it just that affection never goes away. Even when rationality should maybe say otherwise.
Absolutely.
So. Josh, thanks so much for coming on and doing this. This is a real pleasure. Tell our guests about your wonderful shows that you do.
Well, thank you again for having me on and for letting me talk about this movie. I did an episode of Three Ninjas myself because there's actually a video game based off of the second movie, Three Ninjas Kick Back. This real quick, the Three Ninjas like quadrology has a weird release order. There is Three Ninjas Kick Back, Three Ninjas Knuckle Up, and Three Ninjas High Noon at Mega Mountain. Technically, Three Ninjas Knuckle Up, the third one, is only third because that's when it came out in North America. It actually apparently came out before the second one ever released in North America, but in Korea, from what I saw on Wikipedia. It's got a really weird, like the middle two movies kind of you can transpose depending on what date it was released on. But the fourth one is still like absolutely. Anyway, I don't know where I'm going with this. I just thought that was interesting how like there's like this weird mixture of release dates. But anyway, so I say all that to say I did an episode on Kickback with my brothers. We talked about the movie. We talked about the game very lightly on the game. It was more focused on the movie because I just wanted an excuse to talk about Three Ninjas. So thank you for giving me another excuse to talk about Three Ninjas. And that episode I mentioned, you can find over at the Still Loading podcast. That is my video game podcast where me and a bunch of friends do a whole bunch of talk video games, both history, nostalgia. We try to laugh as much as we can. I realized I put it under the comedy category on like iTunes forever ago, and I don't know why. I would say it's I don't know where I'm going with this, but Still Loading podcast. This is an awful plug. So if that plug didn't make you hate it, go check it out.
I believe you also have a separate podcast on James Bond stuff, correct?
Yes, that is on my Patreon. So if anyone likes James Bond, it's at the $5 level for $5 patrons. That is like I'm going. It's called Still Bonding, and I'm going through every James Bond movie chronologically. And when I say beat by beat, I mean like the episodes are generally an hour and a half to 2 hours longer than the movie. So like, I just finished editing I just finished recording Casino Royale, and that recording session went over 3 hours. I did one on License to Kill a few months ago. That was a 4.5 hour episode after all the edits took stuff out. It was 4 hours and 20 minutes. So like, almost every episode is minimum 2.5 to I think the shortest is 2.5. On average now it's between 3 and 3.5 hours. So we go through the whole movie beat by beat, breaking down what we like, what we don't like, trying to find little fun facts to intersperse. So yeah, Still Bonding. It's over on my Patreon, patreon.com/stillloadingpod. I don't normally shout out the Patreon, so thank you for giving me the opportunity. I feel weird being like, hey, here's the stuff that you have to pay for, but it's over there if you're interested.
Well, it's okay to charge fair market value for your hard work, and it's good stuff. So if you like our show, of course, please go, and of course, Josh's, go wherever you find them and drop a review. Take the time to do it. I know plenty of you haven't, so do it already. No, please do it. It does help the podcast visibility, and it's just a good way to get the word out. And also, of course, telling people. That's also a great way to get the word out, so please do that. If you want to get back to us, you can go to our social media portals. The links to that are in the show notes, but we're on Twitter, Threads, Instagram, BlueSky, and I'm also on TikTok, fucking around. Just doing impressions and stuff, but that is there for you to find. So if you have thoughts on our recent episodes, which I think most recently before this was South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. And before that was our two-parter on just our favorite films of the 90s. Coming up next, if assuming everything goes according to plan, will be an episode on Super Mario 64 and one on The Fugitive. I'm not sure what order those are coming in. So that's the plan at any rate. And there's plenty of other stuff I'm working on to come down on the horizon, which lots of fun stuff planned. So, man, Josh, thanks again for bringing this to me. This is a real treat. This was a fun time.
Thank you for being able to stomach it. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, so I appreciate you giving me a platform to gush about one of my favorite childhood movies.
Happy to do it. So until next time, that is one more entry in the Nostalgium Arcanum.
The Ninja Training Academy. The Ninja Training Academy. Fight monsters and opponents all day. At the Ninja Training Academy, you'll fight monsters and opponents all day. Classes are held every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 a.m. in the Zen Garden. Your feet might get a little bit dirty, but don't worry, you're training to be a ninja. So come on down. Class is $10 for drop-ins, or buy a pack of 10 for only $50. That's $5 a class. And remember, tell your monsters and opponents to watch out. You're a ninja now. I'm talking about the Ninja Training Academy. The Ninja Training Academy. Fight pirates and opponents all day.